All right, all right. That's the shofar. Behold, they say unto me, here, where is the word of Yahuwah? Let it come now. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So we give all praises and glory unto the Most High Yah and his only begotten Son, Yahusha. So we just want to say thank him. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you, Father Yah. Thank you. Hallelujah. All praises, all glory, all honor is given unto the Most High Yah. Thank you. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Just give him all the praise, all the glory, and all the honor. We're in that day, and we want it to be said of us that every time we come together to glorify him, to lift up his name, which is his word, to lift up his name, which is his word. His word is his name. When his son came, Yahusha said, I come in my Father's name. He was speaking of the word. He is the word. The word was made flesh and dwelt among us. So he came in his Father's name, which means Torah. He was the living Torah. He was the Torah in flesh. And sometimes we say, you know, his father's name was Yahuwah, and the son's name is Yahusha. But many of us believe that he had an English name, which is a name, even his Hebrew name, other people were named Yahusha or Yahushua. Other people were named that name. It just wasn't a name that was only given once under heaven. But when he said he comes in his Father's name, he was speaking of the word Torah. I come in my Father's name. He says, you believe me not. He says somebody else is going to come in their own name, and him you're going to receive. And so we certainly seen that come to pass when somebody else came in a name that we took it as being deity, Elohim, God, and was told, this is your God, this is your Elohim, this is your deity. And many of us was led down that path. But I'm so thankful unto the Most High Yah that we're in the end times, we're in the last days, and he is opening up Torah. He's opening up his word through the Ruach HaKodesh, or the Holy Spirit. He is opening up his word unto us. And if you're not getting an understanding, then you're actually deprived. If you don't have an understanding of Torah, you won't have the nutrition that you're going to need in this last day. He has to unlock Torah unto you. He has to unlock his word. He has to unlock some of the dark sayings of this word. He has to unlock some of the prophecy that's in this word in order for a remnant to make it. We think there's going to be all of these people. I mean, billions and billions. No, he said a remnant. I'm just getting a remnant because only a remnant of of Yasharal is going to understand. Just a remnant. It's not going to be all of Yasharal. And so as we look at our day and time that we're living in now, and I don't think people in the Roman religion believes where he says it's high time, when Shaul says it's high time that ye awake out of sleep. It's high time that ye wake out of sleep, for your redemption is nearer than when you first believe. And so we want to welcome everybody into our Torah study on tonight. We certainly solicit your prayers and that he will unlock Torah, open up his word unto us, and feed us in our hearts and our minds and our spirits because of what we are going through. Many of us are going through. If he doesn't do it, if he doesn't unlock it, if he doesn't extend his hand of mercy, of grace, if he doesn't take control of our lives, many of us are lost. We're lost, and we're in this world without a hope. And he's given us a hope, but you have to believe it. He's given us a hope, and it's in the scriptures, it's in the book, but you have to believe it. That's the only thing he's asking of us. That's the only thing that he's asking. He's not asking for us to climb the highest mountain. He ain't asking us to do that. He's not asking us to take a test to see where your aptitude is in him. He's not asking that of you. He's not asking you to go, through some type of training, years of training, to where you could be so knowledgeable of a certain subject. He's not asking that of us. He's not asking anything physically demanding on you. The only thing he asks of us is to believe him. He just wants us to believe him. That's it. He wants us to believe him, have faith in him, and then he's going to see if you believe, and we will see if we believe in him or not. And that's through our work. That's through what we do, our actions, how I live my life every day, how I present my body. And I only have one body, but how we present our body unto him, whether it's going to be a living sacrifice, or are we just going to sacrifice our life and give it to the devil, give it to our enemy, our arch rival that is on our path daily. We've been talking in Daniel and talking about that fourth beast and how that fourth beast makes war with the saints. He makes war with the saints. And many times we think of war with the saints, we're thinking of artillery, M16, howitzers, cannons, tanks, guerrilla warfare, where we're going from, people hiding into buildings and they're going around corners and trying to take over the streets. And we think of the warfare more with military arms. But when he talks about the warfare upon his people, and I want to go to start off Deuteronomy 33 and verse number 2. We'll start at verse number 2, because one thing I want to say is this book that we have, that we call Torah. This book and Torah was written in Hebrew and given to a Hebrew people. How many of us believe that? I don't know if everybody believes that. I mean, do you really believe that he was the Hebrew Elohim, or the Hebrew deity? I mean, before we go here, because this is at the end of Musha's life, but let's go to Exodus chapter 5 and look at verse number 2. Let's look at verse number 2. And Pharaoh said, "Who is Yahuwah that I should obey his voice to let Yasharal go? I know not Yahuwah, neither will I let Yasharal go." And they said, "The Elohim of who?" The Elohim, or the God of the Hebrews. That's who he was. He says, "I am your deity. I've chosen you to be your deity." So he was a deity unto a people, and he wrote to them in a language that they understood. There was multiple languages spoken at that time. He could have spoke to them in Arabic. He could have spoke to them in any kind of language, but he spoke to them. Give her a bottle of water. We got some water for her. But he spoke to them in a language that they spoke, and he was their deity. So for me to think that I can go to, for example, the Canaanites. Let me go to the Canaanites to learn of this, who Pharaoh says, "Who is this Yahuwah?" He says, "I don't know no Yahuwah." So would it be wise for me to go to the Egyptians? Pharaoh was an Egyptian. Would it be wise for me to go to the Egyptians to find out who Yahuwah is. Oh, no. So I wouldn't go to the Egyptians. I wouldn't go to the Ethiopians. I wouldn't go to the Canaanites. I wouldn't go to Japheth or any of his sons. I wouldn't go to them because he's not their Elohim. He's not their God. And for a lot of people, that's difficult to accept because of the culture that we're in. The culture teaches us. How many of us know this isn't our culture? I mean, do you really know that you live in a land amongst a people, this is not your culture. In fact, this is not your country. And I know it's hard for a lot of us to accept and digest that, but facts are facts. And as soon as we're able to accept facts, the better off we'll be. The better off we'll be. I don't know about you. Maybe you do. Maybe you want people to lie to you. Maybe you want people to lie to you. I don't want nobody to lie to me. I don't want nobody to lie to me. Especially when it comes to my soul, my salvation, when it comes to where I'm going to spend eternity. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. And we have, how many of y'all know that a day is coming where it says, our fathers have inherited what? Our father have inherited lies. And that's not talking about Israelites now, but that's talking about Gentiles. When they find out who Israel is, and when they see Yahusha coming, who the world calls Jesus Christ, I know we got a guest here, and we want to welcome our guest, and she's going to be amongst us. So when you hear me say Yahusha, that's Jesus. You know, everybody calls him Jesus, and maybe I'll use Jesus because of our guest that's here, but his Hebrew name is Yahusha. But when the world sees him, they're going to mourn. And then you've got these Gentile nations are going to say, our fathers have inherited lies. But then it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late then. So I want you to tell me the truth. If you're going to talk to me about Torah and about this word, I want to know the truth. Don't give me to the best of my knowledge. Sometimes to the best of my knowledge ain't good enough. Well, I don't know where your knowledge is. You know, you might think, okay. Let's go to Deuteronomy 33:2 where we were, because our adversary is making war with the saints. We are in warfare. We are in warfare. And it's not so much with, and I know in our neighborhoods you got a lot of gunplay and you got a lot of killing, but he even said in Isaiah chapter 11, he says Ephraim's not going to vex Judah, and Judah's not going to vex Ephraim. That conflict that they have amongst each other, he's going to resolve that. And that's prophecy. That's prophecy that hasn't happened yet. But the warfare that we are under is a type of warfare. It's a spiritual type of warfare. He even said there's spiritual wickedness where? High places. Spiritual wickedness in high places. We have a warfare in the educational institution. Every institution that is set up is a warfare against us. It is designed to be against us. It's not, I was just a matter of weeks ago where we were amongst some people and it was said, y'all walking around here like y'all free. And that was only a few weeks ago. I ain't talking about 1865. What happened in 1865? What happened in 1865? History. Emancipation Proclamation. I ain't talking about then. I'm talking 2023. Because we don't understand the warfare that we're against. Notice now what he says here. He says, Yahuwah came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran and came with 10,000s of saints. And what did he do with those saints? From his right hand went a fiery law for them. For who? His saints. He had a fiery law for his saints. And yea, he loved the people. Who did he love? All his saints are in thy hand. And they sat down where? At thy feet. Every one shall receive of thy words. So when we look in Torah, because we want to define what this word is, right? Saints. So when we look in Torah, because it says he make war with the saints, well, I want to know, who is he making war with? Who is he making war with? His saints. The ones that he's given a fiery law to. We'll come back, but Revelations 12 and 17. Let's go down to that last verse. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. Now, this is Revelation, this is a future prophecy when Yahuchanan wrote it, or John, when he wrote it. War with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments. The ones that he's really making war with, because it says, because we're going to get to Daniel where it says he makes war with the saints. The ones that are the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God or Yah, and have the testimony of who? Yahushua Mashiach, or Jesus Christ. So those who have the testimony of Yahushua Mashiach and those which keep his commandments, you've got warfare. You got warfare. He's hot on your trails. He's trying to do with you what he wanted to do. If you go back up in this chapter, we don't have to, but if you go back up to this chapter, he's trying to do to you what he wanted to do with the man-child, the child that was born. That's what he wanted. Because it says that when the woman gave birth to the child, who was there to consume the child? The dragon was right there. He wanted to consume the child. How did he want to consume the child? What are you talking about? What happened with King Herod? When he found out, he says, everybody 2 and under, I'm going to kill them all. So that prophecy here was fulfilled where he wanted to get the man-child as soon as he was born. But he says, no, let him go, escape. Joseph, get out of here, because he wants your son's life. Get him out of here. And he didn't, and then Yahusha didn't come back from Egypt until the death of Herod. But then his son took over. But not until the death of Herod did he come back. And even when he came back, Joseph and Mary went to Galilee. They didn't even want to go back to Bethlehem. They was afraid. You trying to kill my child? So they went to another city, which was Galilee. That's where they went, and then into Nazareth. So the remnant of the seed which keep the commandments of Elohim. If you're keeping his commandments, you got to fight. You got to fight on your hands. You got to fight on your. And Daniel 7 and 17. We've been looking at Daniel 7. Just a quick review of Daniel 7, or Daniel, the book of Daniel, chapter 2 is where we get the vision of the 4 kingdoms. And that 4th kingdom is alive today. That 4th kingdom that is iron and clay, they mix with clay. There was 10 nations and they mix with clay, even miry clay. And it says that, and the reason why it represents its toes is because it's at the end time. It's at the end time. We are still, and we're approaching the end of an era or an end of a Gentile rule. It's not the end of the world. A lot of people want to talk about it's the end of the world. No. It's the end of the Gentile rule. That last beast, you know what it says about that last beast when we read it in chapter 2? It says he cut out a stone from the top of the mountain. What did he do with that stone? Cast it at the feet of the beast, right? And it destroyed the whole beast. Why did he cast it at the feet of the beast and not the head? Anybody know? Why did he cast it at her feet, or the feet of the image of that beast and not the head? Anybody know? It would have broke up because it did break it into pieces, and they represent 4 kingdoms. They all fell and dissolved into dust, and they were no more. So why did he throw it at the feet, the 10 toes, which was mixed with iron and clay? Yeah. So the reason why it went down to the toes, because that's the end of the Gentile. Each one of those images, like you had the gold, the silver, the bronze, the iron, and then the iron and clay, each one of those represented a world empire. And each of those world empires the world was ruled by Gentiles. So when you get down to that last one where it's 10 toes of iron and clay, that's the last world empire. That's why they asked him in Matthew 24, what shall be the sign of thy coming? When shall these things be? What shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? And we think the end of the world, everything's going to quit. You're going to see the credits go up and that's it, like you see at the end of a movie. But that's not what he's talking about. They're saying when is going to be the end of this age, the end of this era. So when he cast the stone to his feet and the whole image and everything was dissolved, that's the last kingdom. That's the last rule of the Gentiles. And so that whole image now that was ruled by Gentiles, Gentile empires, all of that's coming to an end. So when he destroys that image, then what happens? Well, he sets up his own kingdom. It says that. He sets up his own kingdom. This great beast, which was 4 kings, shall rise out of the earth, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were iron and nails and brass, devoured, brake in pieces, stamped the residue with his feet, and the 10 horns which were in his head, and of that which came up, which before them 3 fell, even of the horn who had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And I beheld the same horn made war with the saints, and what? Made war with the saints and prevailed against them until when? Till the ancients of days came. So this warfare against his saints, he's still making that warfare until our Messiah comes. That's the next greatest thing that's going to happen on this earth is when our Messiah comes and sets up his kingdom. He is going to destroy the Gentiles. What did he say in Luke 21:24? Huh? No, that's Luke 19:27, I think. Luke 21:24. And what? And then what? Until what? Jerusalem will be trodden down of the Gentiles until the Gentiles' day is fulfilled. When the Gentile day is over and the Ancient of Day comes, he's going to take judgment and give it to who? Saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints did what? Possess the kingdom. So when you look at, and you keep reading down through here, he's going to destroy that 4th beast, the last one, which is the end of the Gentile age. And that's why all of them will be dissolved, and he's going to set up his kingdom, and his kingdom is going to last for how long? It's going to last forever. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all the other kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall trod it down and break it in pieces. The 10 horns of the kingdom of the 10 kings shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a times, and dividing of time. So the warfare that we're in with this beast that's diverse from all the other ones, he has warfare over all your life because he wants to stamp out and subdue. He wants to break. He wants to totally destroy you. What did Yahusha or Jesus say about the thief? The thief comes to what? Steal, kill, and destroy. He is not happy until he destroys. This last beast will not be happy. And you know what? Some of the saints he prevailed. It said he prevailed. He prevailed over him. He had subdued him. How do you think he subdued them? How do you think he conquered them? How do you think he prevailed against them? When you give in, when you feel like there's no hope, and that's how a lot of people felt. A lot of people would rather die than try to overcome. Instead of overcoming, I'd rather just die. I'm not ready for the fight. I know he's after my soul to steal, kill, and destroy, but there's not enough strength in me to fight. I don't have enough in me. Some of us are so broken by sorrow. It seems like everywhere we turn, there's a fight. I mean, I can't go nowhere. I'm at home, I got to fight. I'm engaged with my family. There's the enemy is attacking my household so strong. My kids turning against me. Brothers and sisters turn against me. Has anybody realized that your life has not really turned out the way you thought it might turn out? I know I have. I'm thinking, man, when I was a teenager, I had all these dreams. I mean, I had all this. I was 19. I said, I'm retired at 49. I had my life planned out as a teenager. I had my life planned out. Did it turn out like that? No. And there's been fight everywhere I turn. You go to the schools, you have to fight. You go home, you got a fight on your hand. You look at the economic situation, we got a fight on our hands. And I hope y'all know your life is going to be drastically different in another 30, 60 days, 90 days when it comes to finances. It's going to be different. And we're going to have a lot of people that they're not going to be able to make it. When it says he prevailed against the saints and he subdued the saints and everything, you got some that won't be able to make it. They're going to give up. They're going to give in. When this fourth beast, when he decides to take complete control over your life, as if he don't have it now, you mean he ain't happy now? He's got complete control of my life? No, he ain't happy. The next thing he wants to do is put his mark on you. That's what he wants to do. He's going to want to put his mark on you. Because see, our father, Abba, has put his mark on us. And when he puts his mark on us, he even told us in Exodus, the 13th chapter, he says, it's going to be as frontlet between thine eyes and a mark in your hand. That's what he said about us, about his people. I'm going to mark you as mine. Well, the devil, that old dragon who tries to do everything the Most High Yah does, oh, that's how you mark your people? I'm going to mark my people. I'm going to put a mark on their forehead. I'm going to put a mark in their hand. They're going to have my name and my number. They're going to have my name. Just like his people are supposed to have his name. Oh, man, I ain't got time to break all this down. Got time to break it down. He wanted his people to know his name. It puts a mark on us. Yod, hey, ood, hey, puts a mark on me. I'm marked even amongst those in the Roman religion, when you say Yod, hey, ood, hey, it puts a mark on you. There he goes. I want y'all to know too that as we get closer to the end, there might be friends and family that'll turn you in. It ain't gonna be too far from your house. You're gonna have family and friends. They're one of them. They're gonna turn on you quick. That's one of them. Listen to how they talk. They don't say Lord. They don't say God. And God is just English vernacular for deity. You can say deity. He's deity is saying God. So God is not his name. It's just that he is deity. He's deity. You can't kill him. He has all power. But he has a name. If you're in a close relationship with a husband and wife or children, would you want your children to call you father all the time? And not know you? And I know some of us, yeah, he better call me. If he called me by my name, I must knock some teeth out. That's how we feel our time with our kids. But with our Father in heaven, he wants us to know his name. In fact, it was a commandment. Don't make my name useless. Now, I know that's not what it says up there. It says, don't take my name in vain. Taking his name in vain is to make it useless. The people who translated this book knows more than you. So what they did was, since they understood that that means useless, don't use his name, what they did was they put in an agent or an instrument called Lord, L-O-R-D, or G-O-D. And if you look at L-O-R-D and you translate it back to Hebrew, what are you saying? If you take L-O-R-D and translate it, reverse translate it back to Hebrew, what are you saying? Baal. You're calling him Baal. And how long have we called him Baal? And didn't know it. We didn't know it because we don't know his name. And when he gave us that commandment, don't make my name useless. When you get the Ruach HaKodesh, when he puts the spirit of his son in you, the spirit of his son cries out, what? Abba, Father. It ain't you. It's the spirit of his son saying, Father, Father. Because we ain't never supposed to forget his name. We're never supposed to forget his name. But that's what the enemy does to you. He'll make you forget your father's name. He'll give you another name. And we give that name power. How do you give that name power? By your faith and your belief. You empower. Y'all know I can empower this. I can empower this. And believe in it so much that I can start casting spells. Because of what I believe and the faith that I have in it. I can make this pointer here, I can make it powerful. How do you think these Merlin and some of these other people, and they just had a wand and was able to do it? Let's look at Moses' wand. Didn't the Most High Yah told Moses, he says, what's that in your hand? He said, what's that in your hand? Moses didn't think he could do anything, but when Abba Yah told him, you need to use that wand, use that staff. In fact, he put it in the ark, a staff like this. He put it in the ark. And why did he put it in the ark? Which is still in the ark today. Yeah, because and that rod, what did it do? It budded. It budded. And so he said, put it in the ark. And it's still there today. What else is in the ark? The tablets that has what on it? Which the Roman religion would tell you only 9 of them are good. The other one you can throw away. but he wrote 10 commandments with his finger, and he told Moshe to put it in the ark. So you got the rod that budded. He parted the Red Sea. He dropped it down. It became a snake. See, y'all don't believe in magic. Oh, when he dropped it down on the ground, what happened to it? It turned into a serpent. Moses went back like this. And then he told him, pick it up by the tail. So he picked it up by the tail, and it came back to a rod. And then when the other Pharaoh and his magicians, when they threw down a rod and they had snakes, he threw down his rod, and it became a serpent, and it ate up all the other ones. And then he picked it up by the tail. Now, if y'all seen that, you would think it was magic. Oh, yes, you would. Man, how did he do that? When you look at what happened in the Bible, now we don't call it that. We call it, what do we call it? We just define it differently. What do we call it? Miracles. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. And we see so many things he did with that rod, but he put it in and what else was in the ark? The rod, the 10 commandments, and what else? Manna. That is still there today. And the ark is still here on this earth. They seek to change times and laws, and they make a lot of these different laws against us to consume us and to turn us against our Father in heaven. But the judgment shall sit, and they shall take away his dominion to consume and destroy it until the end. The kingdom, dominion, and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven shall be given to the saints of who? Who is it going to be given to? Saints of the Most High, whose kingdom is a what? Everlasting kingdom, and all dominion shall serve and obey him. So this is what's coming. This is what's coming. If we can make it through this present warfare, this is what's coming. And you know what this is supposed to do to us? Let's look at Romans 15:4. You know what this is supposed to do to us? Romans 15:4. For whatsoever things are what? Written aforetime, they're written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have what? When we go back and read Torah, that should give us hope. If you can't go back and read the scriptures, if you go back and you read Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and you can't get no hope, something's wrong. Something's wrong. Everything that's written aforetime is for our learning. We should have patience and comfort in what? The scriptures. In Torah and Tanakh, I should have patience and comfort in that. And if I do, then I have hope. It should produce hope in me. So when I read about the prophets, it looks bad. Yeah, there's a lot of times it looks bad. But you know what we used to always say? In the end, what? In the end, we win. Y'all know how we used to say that? In the end, we win. So when I read Daniel and I see that it's going to be an everlasting kingdom and he's given it unto us, I have to endure. I have to be steadfast. I have to be unmovable. I can't give up this. I can't give up hope. I can't give up hope. If you give up hope, what are you going to do? You're going to die. You're going to die. You give up hope, you're going to die. So I got to have hope. And who do I have hope in? I got hope that these scriptures are true, but he's given us something for the anchor of our soul, which is hope, but he's given us something. How many of us know what he's given us as an anchor of our soul? It's hope, an anchor of our soul, but what did he give us? He gave us life. Huh? You're still here. You're still here. And he has an expected end for you. He don't want you to give up. He don't want you to give in. He knows that there's sorrow and grief for us, but who else knows that? Yeah, Hashatam, but who else? Who's been touched with that? Yahusha, HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, he's been touched with our infirmities. In all points, he was tempted like we are, right? Yet without what? Yet without sin. So when I'm going through my hard times, and it seems like you might have had a week of hard times. My whole life has been a hard time. But even in your whole life, if you never give up hope, give me Hebrews 6 and 17. Hebrews 6:17. We're in Elohim willing more abundantly to show unto the heirs of promise. Now, who do you think is the heirs of promise? Who is the heirs of promise? That's us. We're the heirs of promise. The immutability of his counsel, what did he do? He confirmed it by an oath, that by two immutable things in which it was impossible for Elohim to lie, we might have a strong consolation who have fled for refuge to lay hold upon what? And where is that hope at? It's set before us, which means it's already there. All we have to do is make it an anchor for us. It's already there. It ain't something that he has to create. He already created it. What is he waiting for? He's waiting on us. He's waiting on us to grab a hold of this, to grab a hold of the hope that was set before us, which hope we have, and what is that hope supposed to be? An anchor of the soul. That hope keeps me in the race. That hope keeps me in the fight. I got a hope on the inside. I know everything that's around me is going to be dissolved. All of it's going to be dissolved. So that gives me a hope that once all of this stuff is dissolved, and this kingdom that right now that is suppressing us, this kingdom and this age is coming to an end, but I have a hope in me as an heir that once all of this is done, we rising up. We rising up. Huh? And Saturday. All right, all right, all right. Right, right. Come on back. We'll be here Saturday and Wednesday. Saturday and Wednesday. All right, all right. So this hope that we have, it's an anchor for the soul, sure and steadfast, and which entereth into that within the veil, whether the forerunner is for us entered, even Yahusha, he was made a high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So this is the hope that I have, that through him, who's in the order of Melchizedek, through him, everything that was written before is sure and steadfast. Because nothing that is written before, he's going to go against. Everything that he was written. And we can see that, especially now, Daniel is a book that is a book where a lot of it has already happened. Because when you read the 8th chapter of Daniel, which is dealing with the Persian Empire, and then who came after the Persian Empire? the Greeks or the Grecian came after the Persian Empire. And you see that in chapter 8. And then in chapter 9, we have Daniel's prayer where he prayed. And then the angel came, Gabriel came to give him a better understanding, to give him skill and understanding. And then chapter 9, we have some language in chapter 9 that talks about the abomination of desolation. And we see that also in chapter 11. Chapter 9 and chapter 11, it talks about the daily sacrifice being taken away and then the abomination of desolation. And a lot of us were wondering, what does that mean, the abomination of desolation? What are you talking about when you say abomination of desolation? And when you look at, you have your hand up? And then you look at chapter 11, and it deals with the king of the north and the south, but it's talking about the Grecian Empire after Alexander died, and it split into 4, and you had the Grecian Empire leading up to Antiochus Epiphanes. And Antiochus Epiphanes brought in the abomination of desolation, because Antiochus Epiphanes he did his very best to get Judah to put an image of him in the temple and then sacrifice a swine on the altar. And Judah Maccabee, and that was during the Maccabean period, and Judah Maccabee fought against them and prevailed, because Antiochus Epiphanes, he's the one that is being spoken of in Daniel chapter 11 and verse number 31, where he talks about the abomination of desolation that causes the daily sacrifice to cease. Now, who else said that? Because when we see what's written in chapter 11 is dealing with the Grecian Empire, but you have to understand there was another empire that was to come after that. There was another empire that came after the Grecian Empire, and that was the Roman Empire. Now, in Daniel, the prophecy of Daniel, the only time he really speaks about the Roman Empire is in the 2nd chapter, and then in the 7th chapter, and he might give reference in the 9th chapter, but most of the prophecy in chapter 8, chapter 10, and chapter 11 is dealing with the Grecian Empire leading up to Rome. Now, the Roman Empire came in a couple of 100 years before, well, maybe not even a couple 100 years, probably less than 100 years before our Messiah came on the scene. Because who was their first emperor? The Roman Empire, who was their first emperor? Huh? Caesar, yeah, but because the Caesar was just like we call president. We're on what president now? Biden's president number what? 46. So we got 46 presidents. So Caesar is just like calling what we call president. Just like in Egypt, all of their leaders were called what? Pharaohs. Was that their name or that was their title? That was their title. Caesar is just a title. Because before Yahusha came, what Caesar brought Roman Empire on the world scene as a world empire? Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar predates our Messiah. So you have the Roman Empire and that 4th beast coming on the scene in that time. But that 4th beast now, it was split into 10 kingdoms. And I think we put that up there. But a lot of Daniel is not dealing with that 4th beast. It does talk about it and references it, because when Daniel seen it, he said it was diverse than all the others, and it puzzled him. He said, what about this? He even asked the angel, what about that fourth beast there? Because it was diverse than all the other ones. And he did give him some information about that, but most of Daniel is dealing with the Persian Empire and then the Grecian Empire. So let's go to Daniel 12 and verse number 1. Let's go to Daniel 11 and the last verse in that chapter. Daniel 11, what's the last verse in that chapter? Okay. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas in the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him. So this third beast came to an end. It came to an end, which we seen it. We knew it was going to happen because we have the image of the beast in the second chapter, and then in the 7th chapter. So we knew it was going to come to an end. In the biblical text, the way it's written, there's no chapter or verses. So the very next thing that's written after this would be Daniel 12:1. Daniel 12:1. And he says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered. But which ones are going to be delivered? This is why we can't give up hope. This is why we can't give up hope. Who's going to be delivered? Everyone found written in the book. Everyone that shall be found written in the book is going to be delivered. So that's why we can't give up hope. And that's why in Hebrews it calls hope an anchor. Y'all know what an anchor does. You put an anchor down, what's going to happen to that boat? It ain't going nowhere. I'm dropping the anchor, we ain't moving. You know, the billows may roar, the breakers may dash, but I've got an anchor that's been put down and I'm not moving. I ain't moving off my block. I'm not moving off the hope that I have within him. When a storm comes in, you have some very dark clouds. And sometimes it can get so dark, daytime. I've seen some storms around here. We get them in the Midwest. It could be high noon and the sun's out in an hour, almost nighttime. Sometimes the street light's about ready to come on, to get so dark. Them are some dark clouds. But if hope is my anchor and I know that I'm going to be delivered, that means I must be written in the book. The ones who are not written in the book are those who give up. He knows who's going to give up. He's got all that wisdom and all that knowledge. He told us way back. Daniel was, I think Daniel was before, it was in the Babylonian Empire. No, I think it was after Isaiah. But Daniel was like 500 years, 600 years before our Messiah even came on the scene. And he was showing him things well into the future. In fact, as we get down to the end of this chapter, he's showing them things all the way up to Yahuchanan when he wrote his last book in 96 AD. Daniel had seen some things. So we're looking at the next best or the next greatest thing that's happened is that when Michael shall stand up. Now, it does say that he's going to send the voice of what? Archangel. And who do you think the archangel is? Michael. He's going to stand up. That's that trumpet that's going to sound, the voice of an archangel. He says it's going to sound so loud, it's going to wake up some dead folk. It's going to sound so loud. But he says he's going to stand up, that great prince would stand for the children of the people. Now, it says that it's going to be, before he stands up, there's going to be a time such as never since there was a nation to that same time. Before he stands up, and we know that it's very near, so things have to get worse. You mean, can they get worse? I mean, it's pretty bad now, but it's going to get worse. We're going to come back here, but Jeremiah chapter 30, I think it's about let's start at verse 4, 5, it might be even 7 that I want. Okay, and these are the words that Yahuwah spake concerning Yasharal, concerning Yehuda. For thus saith Yahuwah, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now and see whether a man doth travail with child. Can a man travail with child? No. But you know they're trying to do that trick now. They trying to do that trick, trying to put a baby in a man's belly. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Something happened now. Something happened to cause this. Alas, for the day is great, so that none is like it. So you got Daniel the prophet talking about it. You got Jeremiah talking about it. He says, even the time of Jacob's trouble. We thought we had it bad, and we did. The descendants of Jacob, whose name is Israel, he changed his name to Israel, his descendants have had it bad. They have had it bad. But there's a time coming, like it says in Daniel, we're going to go back to what, but there's a time coming that the world has never seen before. And even Yahusha said that in the 24th chapter of Matthew. He says it's a time that the world has never seen before. It's going to be a terrible time. In other words, great tribulation, and you know what it is actually? It's the day of what? The day of judgment, day of darkness, dreadful day, but what's that called? The day of Yah. Day of Yah. In Revelation, they call it day of the Lord. And in the prophet Amos, it says, why are you asking for the day of the Lord? Don't you know it's a dreadful day? It's a day where you ain't go. The day of Yah, and the day of Yah is not no 24-hour period. We're talking about a time where he's going to come and he's going to judge. He's going to give judgment. Where does judgment start? At the house of Yah. He says, judgment's going to start at my house. I'm going to deal with my people first. So he says, this is going to be the time of Jacob's trouble. But what? He shall be saved out of it. Which ones are going to be saved out of it? Daniel 12:1. Which ones are going to be saved out of it? There you go. When it says he shall be saved out of it, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered. So he's going to start with his house first, but he's going to judge all these other nations. It's going to be a dreadful day. It's going to be a day coming. And the only ones who will make it out are those that are written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. Now, I don't have to ask where you want to be, because we all want to be resurrected unto life. All of us want to be resurrected unto life. Who else said this? Daniel 12:2. Who else said that? Yahusha said it. Where did he say it? Yahuchanan 5:28. Yahuchanan 5:28. We're going to come back here. Yahuchanan 5:28. Marvel not at this, for the hour cometh in which all that are in the grave shall hear his voice. Now, notice he didn't say all that's in the grave is going to hear my voice. That's not what he said. He said everybody in the grave is going to hear his voice. He didn't say all that are in the grave shall hear my voice. Because when he says that an archangel is going to sound that trumpet, and then those who are dead are going to rise up. And he said in Daniel 12:1 that Michael's going to stand up and it's going to be his voice. So, and shall come forth they that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. So it's appointed unto men once to die, and after that it's what? So you're going to be judged. Either you're going to come back to the resurrection of life, or you're going to come back to the resurrection of damnation. Because everybody that's in the dust of the earth is going to come back in its order and in its time. You have those who will be resurrected unto life. They're going to be the first fruits. They're the ones that's coming back first. The ones who will be resurrected unto life. Then you'll have those who will be resurrected unto damnation. Remember, he says in Revelation chapter 20 and verse number 6. Revelations 20 and 6. What does he say? Blessed and holy is he that hath part in what? The first resurrection. Because you have those who will be resurrected unto life. Blessed are those who have part in the first resurrection. On such the second death hath no power. But they shall be priests of Elohim and of Mashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. Now, the first resurrection are those who will be resurrected unto life. When is that first resurrection going to happen? After tribulation. Go up to verse number 4, because it's right here. Verse number 4. And I saw the thrones, and they that sat upon them, judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahusha, and for the word of Elohim, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, and they lived and reigned with Mashiach 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. So the first resurrection, when you have the first resurrection, that's not happened until after the tribulation. It's not happening until after the tribulation. So why would the Roman religion tell us different? They don't want to go through the tribulation, do they? They don't want to go through the tribulation. It was not given to Rome to take the gospel to the world. It wasn't given to Rome. He gave it to his disciples who were Hebrew Israelites. And I know Hebrew Israelites has a little shade that comes with it today. It shouldn't, but it does. Because our Messiah was a Hebrew Israelite. And I know a lot of people, don't call him that. I know Hebrew. You'd be surprised you hear people, I know Hebrew Israelite. I'm a Gentile. And so there's kind of like a bad connotation that comes with it. But Yahusha was a Hebrew Israelite. He was a Hebrew Israelite. And so he gave it to his disciples, and he told his disciples in Matthew 28, he told his disciples to go to the world. And then in Acts, the 1st chapter, and even Luke, the 24th chapter, and Acts, the 1st chapter, there's 3 times he gives the command to Israelites to take it to the world. But do you know who took it to the world? Rome. That 4th beast. That 4th beast took it to the world. Remember, he says he's going to seek to change laws and times. That 4th beast was going to seek to change times and laws. Yahusha says the kingdom suffereth violence, and the violent do what? They take it by force. We're taking this thing. We're going to kill all your disciples, and we're taking it. And we're going to take it to the world. And so when you got the wrong ones taking it to the world, you got a wrong message. You don't have the same message that he gave his disciples. You got a different message now. And you can prove it in history, how they took it to the world And the message that they gave the world is not this message. Because it says, oh, y'all going through tribulation. I'm a judge the house of Jacob first. Judgment begins at the house of Yah. I'm dealing with my people first. And then after that, he's dealing with all these other nations. The resurrection doesn't come until after the tribulation. So all of this talk and all these people in the Roman religion teaching and preaching that they're going to disappear tomorrow. They're going to say, holla down here, hallelujah up in heaven, and the graves are going to open, and all the people in the grave are going to be resurrected and go up to heaven. That's not true. That's not true. Because the first resurrection is not until after the tribulation. So when he says Jacob's got to go through his trouble, but he's going to be delivered out of it, and in Daniel 12:1, he says it's a time that the world has never seen before, but his people are going to be delivered, those who are written in the book of life. Don't you think I want to make sure I'm written in the book of life. I want to make sure my name is written in there. I want to know for sure. How do I know for sure if my name is written in the book of life? How do I know for sure? Psalms 87, verse number 4. Psalms 87, verse number 4. Verse number 5. Oh, no, verse number. I will make mention of Rahab and Babylon to them that know me. Behold, Philistia and Tyre with Ethiopia. What is he going to say? Was born there. And of Zion, it shall be said, this and that man was born in her. And the highest himself is going to do what? Establish. And who's he going to establish? He's going to establish Zion. Yahuwah shall count when he writeth up the people. Notice now, you want your name written? I want my name written in the book. Yahuwah shall count when he writeth up the people that this man was born there. So he's got a book where he's writing up his people, and those who are written in the book are going to be delivered. They're going to make it out. It's a time of Jacob's trouble, but he's going to be what? He's going to be delivered out of it. So he knows which ones are written. Just because you're of Israelite descent don't mean you're going to make it and your name is written in the book of life. Yes. Yeah, there's some names he blotted out of the book. He says that in Revelation. He blotted these names out. So they were written in there because he knows he's got your name. He knows who you are. So he knows who was written there. Then he said, I'm going to blot them out. They didn't make it. When he gathers his people, when he gathers Yasharal together and he's going to deal with them face to face, how many is going to make it out? A remnant, which is what? A few, or he even says a third. 2/3 are going to perish. Rebels, transgressors, going to perish. And then he's going to have his jewels that he makes up that'll be able to go into the kingdom and be forever in the kingdom. So he's going to count. He's going to know who is. So it's important that we're born. We have to be born. And our Messiah says, it's not your first birth. Oh, we better go there. We better go there. Yahuchanan 3:3. What does he say there? Yahuchanan 3:3. Yahuchanan 3:3. John. Or maybe I should have said, y'all know him as John. Yahusha answered and said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born. Remember now, he's writing up the people. He says, this one, this man, that one is born in Zion. I'm going to establish Zion. This one, that one is born in Zion. Except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Elohim. Nicodemus said unto him, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter a second time into his mother's womb be born? Yahusha answered, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and the Ruach, he cannot enter into the kingdom. He's taking note. He's writing up the names. I know who's written in this book. That's why he can say the ones who made it out are those who's written in the book. Wasn't it Kepha that says, when we consider all this and we know this is going to be dissolved, when we know all of this is going to happen, he says, what manner of man ought we to what? Are we to be in what? All holy conversation, which is your lifestyle. When I know these things are going to come to pass, what manner of man ought to be? Does that make sense? What manner of man ought I to be? That which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I say unto thee, ye must be born again. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Ruach. Nicodemus answered and said unto him, how can these things be? Now notice what Yahusha asked when Nicodemus says, how can these things be? How did Yahusha answer him? What would make him a master in Yasharal? Huh? He would have to know Torah. You would have to be somebody that's a master in Yasharal would be somebody like what we call Shaul. I mean, just his understanding of Torah. Who else that we have examples that would be considered a master in Yasharal? Whose feet did Shaul sit under? Gamaliel would be considered a master in Yasharal. Who else? We have another example in Yahuchanan, the 11th chapter, and that was Caiaphas. He was the high priest. He would be considered the master in Yasharal because he was a high priest. So he said, nigga, art thou a master in Yasharal and you don't know these things? It's written in Psalms. This man and that man was born in there. I've already written that. You should know that. That's in your law book. That's in your Torah. Shaul knew that when they passed through the Red Sea, they were all what? All of them was baptized. Because if you wanted to escape Egypt and get into the land of Canaan, you had to go through what? You had to go through the Red Sea. You had to go through water. I have to go through water if I want to get over there. That's that birth, being born again. He says, you don't know these things? As much as you study Torah to where you could be considered a master and you don't know this? Because everybody, just because you're a descendant of the 12 tribes, don't mean you're going to make it into the kingdom. Because you got some in Yasharal that is wicked. I mean, we got some wicked folks, y'all. Well, I'm an Israelite. I can sin, and sin is a transgression of his law. And you think you can just sin and sin and sin, and well, I'm going to the promised land. I don't think so, because he's got a purging out that he's going to do. He's given us his Ruach HaKodesh that gives me strength and power to overcome. Yes. I don't know. I'm not a master in Yasharal. So I can say I don't know. I can't see these things. I don't. So if there's going to be another one, he might have to part the water for them to get into the. Well, here we've already got the examples because he even immersed his disciples. He immersed all his disciples. In fact, Yahusha was immersed. That's our example. Um, I mean, I I don't know. I don't see that in prophecy, but there could be something we're missing. I don't know. I don't see it in prophecy. I can only see what's written and deal. Now there's things that we don't understand all of Torah. It's layered. There's a lot of things. I mean, it's so layered and it deals with different time periods and different dimensions. He's got another dimension that we don't even know about because he's multi-dimensional. So I mean, there's a lot of things he can do. I know for us, if we're going to follow Yahusha, that's what we have to do. Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, he's a just, he's righteous. He's going to do righteously because it's not his will that what? Any what? It's not his will that any perish, but all men come to repentance. And a lot of times our children don't fully understand repentance. But we can make our house and our children holy, which means set apart, even though they haven't been born of water and spirit. We can make them holy because it says that in 1 Corinthians 7th chapter. Your children are holy. Why? Because mom and dad have set their house and their children set them apart from everybody else. As for me and my house, we're going to serve the Most High Yah, just like Joshua said. As for me and my house, we're going to serve them. So I can set my children apart to where they can be holy. Now, as far as them coming to repentance, like we understand repentance, because when you repent, you don't go back to it. So as children, how do they even know? There's life they haven't even experienced yet. But I know that a lot of this children baptism and everything that comes from the Roman religion. That comes from the Roman religion, because these weren't. When you look at Torah and the Besor and what we're given, he said, "Suffer little children to come unto me," and we have to become as a child. But as far as the baptism and everything, it wasn't. You didn't see all these little children being baptized. I'm not saying they weren't. I'm just saying we don't see it. But he says, "Suffer little children to come unto me, for such is the kingdom of Elohim." So he has a plan for them. He's even got 12,000 from each tribe that he's sealed that are virgin, that he is going to collect his people because they're going to build the kingdom. Why would they have to build the kingdom if there's already a kingdom? Because most of the people there's going to be a slaughter. He says only a few are going to find it. Only a few is going to enter eternal life. But he's going to build a kingdom again because he's got 12,000 from each tribe. The reason why he got 12,000 from each tribe is to build the kingdom. You'll have all the sons rising, all the seed of the 12 tribes, because the name of the sons are going to be on every gate. The gates has the name of the sons of Jacob. And to me, I believe that's why there's such an attack on our sons, is because the enemy knows this thing's going to finish up. When he finishes up, there's going to be 12,000 of each tribe sealed. And he's thinking, man, if I can get these boys, if I can take their virginity from them, if I can get them to take their life. I mean, even suicide is up amongst our children. I mean, all kinds of the attack. If I can get them, if I can turn them, if I can get these boys to want to be girls, they're working on our children that are 5, 6, 7, and 8. That's why DeSantis, and I'm not supporting DeSantis, but in Florida, he says you're not going to teach all that sexual stuff to these kindergarten and first graders. He said, you ain't going to do that, not in Florida. I can respect that because they're attacking our children. If we can get these boys to want to be girls and get them to go through a sex change, well, they lost they're not sealed. I mean, so there's an attack on our sons now. So let's go back because I want to finish this up. Daniel 12 and verse number 2. We're going to finish this up because it's about 9 o'clock. Daniel 12, and I think it was that verse number 2. Everlasting. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as what? The stars forever and ever. Those that can turn many to righteousness, and that's what we're trying to do, even with our visitor here, trying to turn them to righteousness. Those are the ones that's going to shine as stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge is going to what? It's going to increase. So I have to increase in knowledge. I have to know more today than back in the 70s. If you're walking in the understanding of the 70s, he's given men and women in understanding in Torah, that is teaching Torah, that our fathers and forefathers didn't have. Because knowledge has to increase. If knowledge don't increase, then this prophecy cannot be fulfilled. I have to know more than my former pastors. I have to. Because knowledge increases. So he's going to seal it up to the end. And then who unsealed it? Well, we get to Yahuchanan in the book of Revelation, and then we start to see these seals and the book unsealed. So it's going to be sealed up until then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on the other side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And I heard a man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half, and when he shall have accomplished the scatter, when he have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. So we're looking at a scattering. It's not going to come to an end until we see those who are scattered, which are his holy people. That should be a sign unto us that all of this stuff, the times and a half a time, all of that's going to be accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people. All these things shall be finished. And I heard, but I understood not, because many of us don't understand, because I don't understand everything. Then said I, O my Adonai, what shall be the end of these things? And he says, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise will understand. And this is what Yahusha said in Matthew 24:15, when he says talks about the abomination of desolation and the daily sacrifice ending. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. And then he says, blessed are those who waiteth, come to the, so the 1,290, and then you got the 1,335, which is a 45-year period in there. But a lot of this has happened. So when Yahusha says, when you see the desolation of abomination, he tells us to go to Daniel and read it, and we have to get an understanding. So we're looking beyond the abomination of desolation. You have to look beyond that. Because if you're waiting for the abomination of desolation to happen, what has to happen first? In order for the abomination of desolation, if we think this is like in our day and in our time, well, what has to happen? You got to have a temple. You can't have abomination and desolation without a temple. Yes. Yeah, that's what Antiochus Epiphanes did. Antiochus Epiphanes. But if it's the Antichrist standing in the temple and stop, for one thing, the daily sacrifice has to cease. He has to put an end to the daily sacrifice. Well, they're not doing any daily sacrifices. There is no daily sacrifice. When did the daily sacrifice end? 70 AD. The daily sacrifice ended in 70 AD. They surrounded Jerusalem in 70 AD. The temple was destroyed in 70 AD. That ended. The abomination that maketh desolate. And then it talks about the 1,290 years and then the 1,335 years. Yeah. Now, a lot of the and the people that I've read and we looked at or looking at what Yahusha prophesied, the son of perdition. And I'm not saying it's right, but they said the son of perdition was like Nero. Nero, and you'd have to study who Nero was and look at the time period after the death of our Messiah and the destruction of the temple to when Nero was there and Nero ruled and what he did. And many people called him the son of perdition. So looking at going to Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians, and looking at, well, let's look at it. 2 Thessalonians, do you guys got a little bit of time? Maybe a minute? 2 Thessalonians, what is it, chapter 2, chapter 3? Chapter 2, let's start at verse number 8, I think it is. 2 Thessalonians 2. 2 and, okay, let's go to verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Now, Actually, Thessalonians is one of the first books that Shaul wrote. And we can make the application for this end time, but the man of sin has been revealed. The son of perdition, Judas was considered a son of perdition because that's what Yahusha called him, right? Remember he said, it's in Yahukhanan's 17th chapter when he had that prayer, he says he only lost one, the son of perdition, which was considered Judas. So the son of perdition, let's look up this word perdition. Let's see what it means. G684. Oh, that's almost like Apolia. Apollyon. Spiritual, let's see, it's ruin or loss, physical, spiritual, or eternal, damnable, destructive, pernicious ways or waste. But notice here, a ruin or loss. So that's what perdition means. Now you can say that the Antichrist, but the spirit of Antichrist was back in that day, right? That's what Yahuchanan said. He said the spirit of Antichrist is already at work. So we're looking for an embodiment, somebody to stand up and say, you know, an individual to stand up and say that. Well, I think what Paul's talking about here, I think, and this is me, because I think the next thing that's going to happen is when he's going to gather Israel and take them out and deal with them. And those who refuse to go out is going to have to deal with the system of this world. The world system is setting this stuff up, like what we see there. The mark of the beast and all of that, they're already started that. They're getting ready to, I mean, they've been working on that for some time now. And it's coming from the system, that last beast. We look at a beast or, you know, the Antichrist as one person embodiment. I look at it as more of the system or the nations and stuff. That's what I see. Because what they're getting ready to roll out now, they've actually started to do it already. There's some countries that will probably have the mark of the beast before it gets to the West here. Because you've got some over there in Europe, they're already doing it. They've got the chip in here. They're already scanning the equipment, everything is set up. It's almost like they've started it, but it's just going to take a while before all nations are given unto it. So you're going to have all nations, there's going to be a one world power under this beast. But he's going to take his people, the next greatest, I keep saying the next best thing, next greatest thing is when he gathers his people. He's waiting for us. He says in Deuteronomy, when they come to themselves and they go back and they return, he says, I'm going to come get them. But at the same time, what's going on around the world, that beast is collecting nations and getting all the nations to come up under it. You've got the 17th chapter of I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't see a single embodiment of a single person. I see it more as a nations come together under the beast system that tries to take over the world, that gives the world the mark. Yes. Right, right. So I guess, And they've called other men in history son of perdition as a single person, single embodiment. Yeah. Now, if you read Revelation 17, we're not really dealing with an individual person. We're dealing with, when you look at Revelation 17, we're looking at nations. And then it even says the woman that rode on top of the nation, it said that she sat on many waters, and it tells you what the waters were. And it pretty much tells you what the woman is. So and then those nations are going to hate the woman and kill the woman. And we look at it as an individual, but it's actually, we're dealing with nations, and we're dealing with the beast system that they have created. Let's look at Revelation 17, and 17 and verse number 3, is it? Or I guess it's verse number 5. And upon her forehead, the forehead of this woman, was a name written. So you got mystery, you've got Babylon the Great, you got the mother of harlots, and then the abominations of the earth. And that's written on her forehead, and it says that she sat on many waters. But when you look at how it explains the waters, it talks about the people and nations and things like that, is where she sat. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Yahusha. And when I saw her, I wondered with her great admiration. You know who these martyrs were? When you talk about martyrs, and she drank the blood of the saints, the blood of the martyrs, you're dealing with those who were martyred in the first century. If you go to Acts chapter 12, you've got Jacob or James. He was considered one of the martyrs of Yahusha. And so they got drunken with the blood of that. But this, when you look at mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, abomination of the earth, the way I see it, and I'm not saying I'm totally correct, but the way I see it, you've got 4 different entities here. From what I see. You've got the mystery, because a lot of it is well, you're dealing with some mysteries and trying to figure all of it out. You got Babylon the Great. Now this is speaking, he's speaking in the first century, but he's talking about something 2000. Babylon was, when we read Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar, that's Babylon. So Babylon the Great here now is not dealing with Nebuchadnezzar and that kingdom. We're talking about something in the future, a nation in the future called Babylon the Great. And then you've got the mother of harlots, and the mother of harlots, you got the woman here, and then you got the abominations of the earth, which I think is not just one individual. I think it's the whole system. The whole system. I know we're looking for one person to rise up as the Antichrist, but when you look at that and study that, that's really coming from Rome, that puts that commentary in there, where you're actually looking for one person to stand up, because the spirit of the Antichrist was back in the first century. And then Yahuchanan talks about the Antichrist as anybody that denies that he came in the flesh. Or, when you say he came in the flesh, you're dealing with his humanity. If you don't have him in his humanity or in his flesh, then that's the spirit of the Antichrist. Okay, well, in Thessalonians, some of them believe that man they were talking about, the son of perdition, that man will be revealed, was Nero, which goes back to like the 2nd century. Let's go back to 2 Thessalonians. Who do I think it is? The son of perdition? And what I'm saying, I think he was revealed already. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. And then he opposes and exalted himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worshiped, so that he as Elohim sitteth in the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. Now, which temple are you talking about here? Because if you're talking about the physical temple that was destroyed in 70 AD, because Paul died before the temple was destroyed. So if you're saying he sits in the temple of Elohim, then you're talking about somebody in the 1st century. Because there hasn't been a temple since 70 AD. Unless you extrapolate this and say that we are the temple. We're the temple. We're the temple of Elohim. Because Shaul gives us reference to that in Corinthians. He says, ye are the temple of Elohim. If any man defiles the temple of Elohim, what is Elohim going to do to him? He's going to destroy that man. You can't defile the temple. He speaks of the temple as collectively, and then he says the temple is your body is a temple for the Ruach. So how do you define this temple? Are you saying that the temple is all of us, or the temple is you individually, or the temple that was in Jerusalem that was destroyed in 70 AD? So it depends on how you want to look at that. He says, remember ye not that I was yet with you? I told you these things, which was before, he died before 70 AD. And now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. And I think Paul spoke in a lot of mysteries. He spoke mysterious things. And, we take this as the church. That's how it was told to us. Well, when he takes the church out of here, when he raptures the church, then it's going to be revealed who that wicked person is. And that's how we were taught. But what they refer to as the rapture is actually the gathering of Yasharal. That's what Paul was dealing with, was the gathering of Yasharal. So is he going to be revealed when after Yasharal is gathered? He gathers his people and takes them to a place of refuge in that wilderness, and he deals with them face to face. And the rest of the world has to deal with this devil. And then shall that wicked be revealed. But when we read the rest of this, if you're saying he's not going to be revealed till, some say, after the rapture or after the gathering of Israel, then when you read the rest of this, all of this has to fit into that narrative. And if it doesn't fit into that narrative, then we have to go back and say, well, wait a minute, let's look at, because notice what he says here. And then shall the wicked be revealed, whom Adonai shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, whose coming is after what? So Adonai is going to destroy him with the brightness of his coming. The brightness of his coming is after the working of Satan, with all kind of powers and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive what? Not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. So now you're saying that if anybody's around to see this one, they're not going to be saved. But in Revelation, it says that you have those who didn't take the mark or his name or anything like that, and they had to give up their head, right? So is this dealing with that? And I'm not quite sure. I think What I think is a lot of this stuff has been revealed. We just don't see it. We just don't see it because the working of Satan, he's already brought a lot of power, signs, and lying wonders. He's brought that already, and it has deceived people. It has. Because in the 7th chapter of Matthew, Yahusha says, everybody that says Adonai, Adonai is not going up. And many will say, haven't we prophesied in thy name? Haven't we cast out devils in thy name? Haven't we done many what? Wonderful works. And he's going to say, depart from me. I never knew you. Why didn't he know them? Because they worked what? They were lawless. That iniquity there is lawlessness. Y'all worked lawlessness. I never knew you. So listen, for this cause, Elohim shall send them. What is he going to send them? Strong delusion that they shall believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So I think a lot of this stuff is going on already. That's what I think. I think a lot of that stuff is going on right already. You got a lot of people that can't wake up. Shaul said in Romans 13, he said, it's high time y'all wake out of sleep because our day of redemption is nearer than when you first believed. Do people want to wake up today? You got a lot of folks say, I'd rather stay asleep than to wake up to that. If you're saying that's woke, I don't want to wake up. You got a lot of people who say that. Okay, so he says he's going to send strong delusion that they might believe a lie. To me, I think if anybody speaks against what's going on in this day, they're proving to you they don't have the truth. That's what I think. And I know that's kind of strong, but if you stand up again, it says in Acts the 5th chapter, when they were going up against the disciples, and one of the rulers says that if this thing is of Elohim, you guys are fighting against who? You're fighting against Yah. You're actually fighting. It says that in Acts the 5th chapter. If this thing is of Elohim, of the Most High Yah, and you're fighting against it, you're fighting against the Most High Yah. And I just think that those who are speaking against what he's doing in Yahshua, because he said he was going to wake them up, that's in prophecy, and you have people that are speaking against it, I think it's going to be difficult for them. I really do. You know why? Because they say they have the Ruach HaKodesh. So is the Ruach HaKodesh leading them wrong? Oh, I don't think the Ruach is leading them wrong. I question if that's the true Ruach HaKodesh. Because he tells us when the Ruach of truth is come, what is it going to do? It's going to guide you into all truth. And it's also going to show you things to come. That's what the Ruach HaKodesh is going to do. So if you're saying the people that's occupying Palestine are the chosen people, and you're looking to get raptured out of here, and then he's going to deal with them and turn the world over to them, you don't have the Ruach of truth, because the Ruach of truth is supposed to show you things to come. The Ruach of truth will show you that those people aren't the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're not. Because Yahusha said Jerusalem's going to be trodden on the foot of the Gentiles. So the Gentiles have it until their day is up. So if anybody say those are the chosen people, I talked to a minister that said, I can't accept that those are not the people, because if I accept that they're not the people, that changes my whole perspective of the book. He told me that. He said, I can't say that they're not the people, because that changes how I have to look at the book. Yes. You can't see it. If you're not awake, you can't see it. Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah. Yeah. But here's the thing though. We testify so much and we boast that we have the Holy Ghost or the Ruach HaKodesh. I mean, we wear it as a badge of honor. Well, then why can't you see that? Why can't you see it? Because he says here, I'm going to send strong delusion that they might believe what? They say they're the people, but they're not. But you believe that they are. So are you right and the Bible's wrong? Or are you wrong and the Bible's right? Because they sing that song, I know somebody's right. Oh, yeah. I know the Bible's right and somebody's wrong. We used to sing that song. I know the Bible's right. Somebody's wrong. You know, because the Bible teaches us in Torah and prophecy, it teaches us who his people are. It's as plain as day. It's as plain as day. Now, does that take away the plan of the birth? No, because Yahusha told us what we had to do. He was immersed himself. And he immersed his disciples. That doesn't change. We still have to be born. Shaul says we were all baptized in water to get out of Egypt. So now, if we want to get into the promised land, you got to go through some water. You got to be born again. That doesn't change. It's just that now I know who I am and I know who they are. And they're not who they say they are. But I could get shut down because everything I taught tonight, they would consider anti-Semitic. Everything I taught, he's anti-Semitic. Shut him down. And all it is the truth. We can read the scriptures. Okay, we'll finish up. If there's any questions or comments, we'll just have to deal with it on the Shabbat. And we'll be back. Oh, can y'all see that dot on the board? Can you see it? Is there? I mean, I really want to make. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Because when you look at it, that dot is kind of like insignificant. You can barely even see it, or you can't see it at all. But that's as small as that dot is, and we might think it's insignificant, it holds so much value because that's how we are in this world compared to him. We're just like a tiny little dot. We're like a tiny little dot. But he loved that dot so much that I'm going to send my son.